In my class, we will be using a program called Nearpod for all of the lecture content. So if you haven't used Nearpod before, I think it's a fairly intuitive program that you'll use to kind of click through a slide deck, play voiceovers of each slide, and then engage in some interactive activities like quizzes and drawings and collaboration boards. This is my way of ensuring that you're actually engaging with the lecture content online. But for you, it's also a great way for you to check in on your understanding as you progress through the course. So really quickly, I just want to show you about how to navigate that program. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend bookmarking our class schedule, which you can find in the Getting Started module. The class schedule will give you an overview of all of the assignments and when they're due. So it'll tell you the Nearpod lessons that are due, any online activities, and then any BioBeyond lessons that are due, which is our lab program. So in the Getting Started module, one of the first Nearpod assignments you have is the Getting Started in Nearpod. This is really just to introduce you to the program and how it works. So if you open up that assignment, what you will do is hit the Load Getting Started in Nearpod in a new window. Because this is automatically integrated with Canvas, it will automatically populate your name. And then off to the right is how you progress to each slide. Some of the slides will have voiceovers that you can play and listen to the audio that I've created. And then you will have the opportunity to answer some questions. At the very end of each Nearpod is a muddy point question. This is your opportunity to tell me, like, I didn't really understand what you were talking about when you mentioned DNA replication, right? And that way I can give you some feedback or try to explain it in a different way. Once you are done with your Nearpod, all you need to do is simply close out of the tab. If you're not done, but you need to go off and do something else, my recommendation would just be to leave the Nearpod open. Because the problem is, if you close out of it, it will save your answers, but when you reopen it, it'll make you start over from the beginning and you'll have to manually click through each slide. So again, keep it open until you're done. Once you're done, the only thing you need to do is just close out of the tab and it will automatically send your report to Canvas. I do manually grade the Nearpod, so there may be a little bit of a delay. I'm reading through your answers and your responses to give you some points. Nearpod is based on accuracy. So to earn full 5 points, you need to have accuracy of 100%. But you can do Nearpods as many times as you want before the deadline, and I'll take your highest score. Most students, though, usually earn near full credit, if not full credit, by just completing the Nearpod assignments. I highly recommend using the most updated version of Google Chrome as your browser when you're doing the Nearpods. If you're using Safari or Firefox, sometimes the privacy settings on those web browsers prevent Nearpod from sending the report to Canvas. So certainly recommend using Google Chrome as your browser. And the last thing I want to show you is the guided notes that I provide with the Nearpods. So I'm going to scroll down to our first unit where we're really starting to get into the content. One of the first Nearpods is this Biosphere, Biomes, and Ecosystems Nearpod. So if you open up that assignment, you will see a hyperlink that takes you to guided notes. These are entirely for you. You don't have to turn them in for points, but I highly recommend using them to fill in as you're going through the Nearpod. This is a great way for you to kind of capture the most important concepts from the Nearpod, and they also serve as a great study tool for exams. While my exams are closed note, this still gives you an opportunity to have a framework to study from that you can use while you are practicing for each exam. And then I also wanted to show you about the supplemental materials that I provide. So each Nearpod, I will link the Google Slides in the assignment. Again, this is just for you and for your own studying purposes. You don't have to use them or interact with them if you don't want to. And then I also provide a closed caption video of the Nearpod if you need closed captioning.